Did just learn that legendary actor and director Robert Redford has passed away. He was 89.
Hollywood is in shock. The world just said goodbye to Robert Redford, a legend whose name defined an entire era of cinema. But while the funeral was filled with tears, whispers, and star-studded faces, one moment stole the spotlight. When his wife Sibylle stood up to speak, what she said, and the way she said it, left the entire room stunned. Emotional, powerful, and unforgettable. This tribute has everyone talking. Robert Redford, a name that defined Hollywood for more than half a century. News of his passing has sent shockwaves through the entertainment world, leaving fans and fellow stars devastated. Known as one of the last true icons of classic cinema, Redford wasn't just an actor, he was a storyteller, a dreamer, and a visionary. From unforgettable performances in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and The Sting, to directing Oscar-winning films and founding the Sundance Film Festival, his influence stretched far beyond the silver screen. He built not just a career, but a legacy that gave countless young filmmakers a chance to shine. Hollywood insiders are calling this the end of an era. For decades, Robert Redford embodied elegance, talent, and a charm that could never be replaced. His loss is being felt not only by his family and friends, but by millions of fans across the world who grew up watching him bring characters to life. The day of Robert Redford's funeral was unlike any other in Hollywood. The setting was somber, yet dignified, an intimate ceremony surrounded by tall trees, the soft echo of church bells, and a heavy silence that seemed to hang in the air. But as the minutes passed, it became clear this was no ordinary farewell. This was Hollywood's final salute to one of its greatest legends. Family members sat in the front rows, faces hidden behind dark veils and sunglasses, clinging to each other for comfort. His children appeared visibly emotional, their quiet tears speaking louder than words. Behind them, rows of Hollywood's biggest stars slowly filled the pews. The gathering looked less like a funeral and more like a reunion of an entire era of cinema. Some celebrities slipped in quietly, almost unnoticed: old co-stars, lifelong friends, directors who owed their careers to Redford's kindness. They chose not to make a spectacle, but their presence spoke volumes. On the other hand, a few arrivals instantly grabbed attention. Paparazzi cameras flashed the moment they stepped out of sleek black cars. Famous faces, dressed head to toe in mourning black, their emotional expressions caught and spread across headlines within minutes. Fans also lined the streets outside the ceremony. Some clutched vintage movie posters, others held candles or flowers, whispering their favorite lines from Redford's films. A few even broke down in tears as the funeral procession passed. Their grief as raw as that of the family inside. And yet, even amid the silence, there was chatter, hushed gossip about who came, who didn't, and how certain Hollywood names reacted. Observers noted one famous actor wiping his eyes repeatedly, while another appeared lost in deep thought, perhaps reflecting on his own long career. Others leaned in close, whispering words the cameras couldn't catch. The atmosphere was charged not just with sadness, but with curiosity. Everyone seemed to know that something big, something unforgettable, was about to happen during this farewell. And they were right, because the moment Robert Redford's wife, Sibylle, stood up to speak, the room held its breath. As the ceremony reached its most emotional moment, a sudden hush fell across the room. All eyes turned toward the front as Sibylle Szaggars Redford, Robert Redford's beloved wife, slowly rose from her seat. For a brief second, the silence was so heavy you could hear the faint rustle of fabric as she adjusted her black veil. It was the moment everyone had been waiting for, the widow's farewell. Sibylle's presence alone was breathtaking. Dressed in a simple yet elegant black gown, with a delicate pearl brooch pinned to her side, she carried herself with the quiet grace of someone both heartbroken and unshakably strong. Her posture was regal, her eyes glistening but unwavering, as though determined to hold back her grief long enough to honor the man she loved. Even in her sorrow, she radiated dignity. When she finally began to speak, her voice was steady, soft, almost trembling at first, but growing stronger with each word. "Robert wasn't just my husband," she said, pausing as her voice caught. "He was my compass, my teacher, my greatest love. To the world, he was a legend. But to me, he was home." Gasps and muffled sobs rippled through the room. Some family members leaned forward, clutching tissues, while Hollywood's toughest icons wiped away silent tears. One actress was spotted shaking her head in disbelief, whispering to the person beside her, "This is the most beautiful tribute I've ever heard." Sibylle didn't talk about fame, money, or Hollywood glamour. Instead, she shared tender glimpses of their life together, private mornings filled with laughter, late-night talks about art, their shared love of nature, and Robert's deep belief in humanity. He taught me that beauty is not just what we see in the world, but what we create in it, she said. Her words echoing like poetry through the hall. The audience was spellbound. Some described it later as though time itself had stopped, every word landing like a gentle touch, every sentence a reminder of the love that had carried them through the years. By the time Sibylle stepped down, the entire room was on its feet in a spontaneous standing ovation. Cameras caught the moment, and within hours, clips of her tribute had spread like wildfire across social media. Fans flooded Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok with praise. The most stunning, heartfelt tribute in Hollywood history. You could feel the love in every word. Robert Redford couldn't have asked for a more perfect farewell. Speech was no longer just part of a private ceremony, it became a viral moment, celebrated across the world. Her grace, her strength, and her ability to turn her grief into beauty had left an indelible mark. People weren't just talking about Robert Redford's passing anymore. They were talking about Sibylle's unforgettable tribute. The moment Sibylle's tribute ended, the emotional ripple spread far beyond the funeral hall. It exploded across Hollywood and social media. Within minutes, hashtags like #RedfordFarewell, #SIBYLLE and #HollywoodLegend were trending worldwide. Fans who had never met Robert Redford wrote as though they had lost a close friend. "I grew up watching him," one fan tweeted, "and hearing his wife speak like that broke my heart." Another wrote, "That tribute wasn't just stunning, it was pure love in words." Facebook pages and Instagram fan accounts flooded with old photos of Redford, paired with captions quoting Sibylle's heartfelt lines. TikTok creators wasted no time, editing clips of her tribute into emotional montages with Redford's most iconic movie scenes, some of these videos gathering millions of views within hours. People across the globe felt as if they, too, had been part of the farewell. Meanwhile, Hollywood's elite couldn't stay silent. Fellow actors, directors, and co-stars stepped forward with their own tributes. A legendary actress, once Redford's on-screen partner, praised Sibylle publicly. The strength and love she showed, Robert would have been so proud. Another star described the speech as the most moving moment I've ever witnessed at a funeral. Even directors he had mentored through the Sundance Film Festival chimed in, saying Sibylle's words captured the man they all knew: kind, humble, and endlessly inspiring. But beyond the tears and heartfelt messages, the gossip machine also came alive. Whispers started circulating about old Hollywood friendships being rekindled during the service. Several stars who hadn't been seen together in years were spotted sitting side by side, exchanging comforting words. Paparazzi lenses caught subtle moments: two former co-stars holding hands in quiet solidarity, an estranged family member embracing another after years of distance. Too many. It looked like Robert's passing had momentarily healed wounds and reunited people who had drifted apart. Speculation quickly swirled around the Redford family as well. Some outlets reported that the children, though grieving deeply, seemed more united than ever, leaning on each other for strength. Others hinted at behind-the-scenes tension, suggesting that certain relatives kept their distance from the spotlight. Gossip magazines, never missing a beat, ran with headlines like "Hollywood Heals at Redford's Funeral" and "Family Rift" or "Family Unity." What really happened inside the ceremony? Yet through all the speculation, one fact remained undeniable. Sibylle's tribute had become the centerpiece of the conversation. Fans praised her courage, celebrities admired her composure, and the media couldn't stop replaying her words. What was meant to be a private goodbye had transformed into a global moment of unity, mourning, and admiration. For Hollywood, it wasn't just the end of an era with Robert Redford's passing, it was the beginning of a new legacy, carried forward by the unforgettable strength of his wife's stunning farewell. Robert Redford wasn't just an actor, he was the definition of Hollywood royalty. His passing didn't just mark the end of a life, it marked the closing chapter of a golden age of cinema. For more than 6 decades, his name was synonymous with charm, sophistication, and an artistry that shaped generations of film lovers. From his breakout roles in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and The Sting, to unforgettable performances in The Great Gatsby and All the President's Men, Redford was more than a movie star, he was a cultural phenomenon. His boyish good looks, golden hair, and piercing eyes made him an instant heartthrob. But it was his depth as an actor that secured his place as one of the greatest of all time. But his legacy didn't stop at acting. Behind the camera, Redford proved to be just as brilliant. His directorial debut, Ordinary People, stunned critics and won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Director for Redford himself. This wasn't just a victory for Hamet, was a statement. He wasn't content with fame. He wanted to tell meaningful stories, to push boundaries, to create cinema that would last. And then came Sundance. What began as a small film festival in Utah grew, under his vision, into one of the most powerful platforms for independent filmmakers in the world. Redford opened doors for voices that would have otherwise gone unheard. Directors, writers, and actors who got their start at Sundance often say they owe their careers to Robert's belief in them. In this way, his influence went far beyond his own career. He built a bridge for the future of Hollywood. Redford was also a man deeply connected to nature and activism. He fought for the environment long before it became fashionable, using his fame to advocate for conservation and sustainability. To his fans, he wasn't just a Hollywood star. He was a leader, a man who cared about the world beyond the spotlight. Even in his later years, Redford carried himself with quiet dignity. Unlike many stars, he never chased attention or controversy. Instead, he allowed his work and his principles to speak for him. And that's why, even at the time of his funeral, the focus wasn't just on his films, but on the values he lived by: integrity, humility, and passion. Hollywood insiders are already saying that Robert Redford's legacy will never fade. His films will continue to inspire, his festival will continue to uplift new voices, and his impact as an actor, director, activist, and mentor will remain forever etched in the history of cinema. As one fan beautifully put it online, Robert Redford wasn't just part of Hollywood, he was Hollywood. As the final notes of the ceremony faded and the crowd slowly dispersed, one truth lingered in every heart. Sybylle's tribute was not just a farewell, it was the defining moment of Robert Redford's goodbye. Her words carried the weight of love, loss, and loyalty, and they will forever echo as part of his story. In that room, surrounded by family, Hollywood legends, and adoring fans, Sibylle turned her grief into strength. She gave the world a glimpse into the man behind the legend, not just the actor, not just the director, but the husband, the companion, the soul who had quietly shaped her life. And in doing so, she reminded everyone that Robert Redford's legacy is not confined to screens, awards, or headlines. His legacy lives in the love he gave, the dreams he nurtured, and the stories he left behind. For Hollywood, it was the closing of a chapter but not the end of the book. Robert Redford's influence, his artistry, and his vision will continue to inspire future generations, long after this day of mourning has passed. And so, as fans light candles, as tributes flood social media, and as his films play once again in living rooms around the world, one thing is certain: Robert Redford may be gone, but thanks to Sybylle's stunning tribute, his light will never dim, and his legacy will shine forever. And now, we want to hear from you. What did you think of Sybylle's breathtaking tribute? Did her words move you as much as they moved Hollywood? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'll be reading them all. If you loved this story and want more behind-the-scenes celebrity moments, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon so you never miss an update. Because in Hollywood, the stories never end, and we'll be here to bring you every emotional moment, every hidden detail, and every unforgettable farewell.